Good time zone, everybody. It is Tuesday, and we are back at Horde of Tales for another spectacular session. My name is Marcus, also known as the Chindividual. Today, also a molten puddle of sweat and misery, but that misery is compensated because I am again live with three other fantastic people today, which I would love to introduce to you once again. We are here, first of all, of course, with our resident Warforged and artist Serial joining us. We have the Queen of Chaos and Unexpected Turns, and the person who still wants me to acknowledge that a fake cat is a real cat. Ida is with us here. And the brain behind it all, the one who brought us all together and fantastic player at this table, Caro, is also with us today. Good time zone to all of you. How are you on this fine day?
Too warm. I'm still moist. I'm still refreshed. That'll change soon.
All the moist.
Lucky moist?
Moist.
Moist.
Right then. It's going to be one of those sessions. All right then. Good to hear that we're all nice and moist here. That's what we're here for in this channel. If you haven't noticed, for us in the Europeans, it's a bit of a warm day today. So if you're watching and you're also on the old continent, you might also experience certain case of heat today. And we would thus, of course, encourage you, as much as we're happy if you tune in here, please also take care of yourself, drink extra water, make sure you're well hydrated. The crew here will also make sure that we keep hydrated. We have water and everything else we need. And considering that the temperature is a little bit higher, we might also take an additional break today. Usually you're kind of like used to a 10-minute break halfway through, but we might take an additional break to also wipe the sweat from our brow and make sure we get through this session. Talking about a session, we want to go and play some D&D here today.
What?
Yes,
How come
we do.
Nobody told me.
Plot twist. Well, before we get into that, is there anything we want to get out of the way before we get into today's session? Anything you'd like to share with the people here? Or are you just like, Marcus, shut up. I want to go pretend being a fictional character for a few hours.
Can't think of anything too exciting.
Let's get started. We can always do announcements at the end, right?
Yeah.
We'll remember throughout the session.
Exactly.
Oh, I don't forget, we are on Friday. We're at Manapod Studios.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna get back on that towards the end of the session, but that's a little tease. You should totally check out Manapod Studios. I'm already really looking forward to that. But
I'm so scared.
Yes, and now you can think for the rest of the session, why is Ida scared? Well, hang on and we'll tell you. So, we are here today on the channel of Horde of Tales, where we play TTRPGs, and Tuesdays is our D&D Eberron day with our game of Convergence Manifesto, a D&D 5th edition campaign set in the world of Eberron, where we play the adventures of the Convergence Manifesto series, which you can find on acrosseberron.com. We have started last session, the 4th chapter of this adventure, Living Legend, and our heroes have just arrived in Darguun in the city of Rhuukan Draal. We play 5th edition D&D here. The tabletop that we use for our virtual tabletop that we use is Astral VTT, and any kind of music that you will hear is by Dark Fantasy Studios. Should I decide to bring these characters into combat and I need a good-looking battle map, my go-to tool is Dungeon Draft. So if you see a map, it's made in Dungeon Draft, a very easy to use dungeon mapping or other kind of mapping tool. You get what I mean? The overlay
He's melting.
The overlay that you see is made by Caro, and the character artwork is a co-op between Serial and Caro. Also, if you want to help these overheated, moist adventurers here today, you might spot a cat on someone's screen here today. If you do so, use those channel points to give one of the players cat vantage, will cause a cute little icon to pop up on their part of the window. If they have cat vantage, they can use that on any roll to get advantage on the roll. Keep in mind that a player can never hold more than one charge of cat vantage, so don't give it to anyone who already has cat vantage, indicated by a cute little kitty cat. And you can also give cat vantage to the GM, and I will really, really like you if you give me cat vantage. I generally like all of you, but I will like you a little bit more if you give me cat vantage.
You kind of just agreed, you just kind of said that they have to buy your love, and that's just not, I feel like the players should be getting the advantage where we are struggling through the test you put us through, and
fair point. Yep, the voice of reason.
Maybe Marcus' love language is just that he likes both stuff,
Then in order
That is
to
fair.
evenly spread out the suffering, moist.
All right then,
Moist.
let's stop all this talking, and I'm gonna put on the intro video so we can get into the session. We'll see you
Let's
after the
go.
intro rolls. And here we are. And we are back in the world of Eberron. To be specific, we have moved to the young, budding nation of Darguun and its capital city, Rhuukan Draal. Our adventurers of the Clifftop Adventurers Guild have been sent here to find another planar artifact known as the Chains of Murtal. After a long journey on a cart with a squeaking wheel and other annoyances, but also nice things like a friendly ogre chef who gives extra cheese and food, you have made it to Rhuukan Draal and were introduced to your contact, Tantuul, a story-loving hobgoblin who will help you find the location of the Chains of Murtal. You had a quick conversation with him and made sure that in the morning you would go to venture towards the location of the chains. After Rain would have spent some time to do some shopping for impractical trophies, and Delphine and Rebus made sure that you had rooms at the tavern to stay. And that's where we wrapped up last session. Before we take a look at what happens after you enjoy a night of rest at the tavern, I do want to take a little bit of time to go over something that occurred during the little shopping trip that Rain went on.
Oh.
With Tantuul.
To remind, I did take the shape of a random smaller framed orc, and I ensured Tantuul that I would play the mute.
Exactly.
I have not revealed my other abilities to him yet, which are the telepathic ones.
Perfect. So, Rain, in your shape, Tantuul leads you back to the Bloody Market, this large market that you crossed together with Toko before. And he guides you past a few stalls, points out a few goods, and, well, what does catch your eye are indeed these beautifully and exciting looking weapons that the Darguuni make. Long swords where from your home, from underneath the sea, you are used to a bit more elegant shapes, like things crafted to perfection and efficiency. And you certainly don't doubt that these weapons cannot kill. They're certainly efficient in that regard. But they are adorned with spikes, with skulls made out of steel, or just faces that look intimidating at whoever has to look at this brandished weapon at them. There's a certain... It adds to the martial look of these weapons. And Tantuul would guide you past a few stalls, a few merchants, and would show you a few objects. What kind of these kind of terrifying looking weapons would be one that catches Rain's eye?
Something that would be a bit easy to carry with, not something necessarily Rain will use. So something like a dagger, or like a small mace, like some sort of small concealed weapon, or a small gauntlet of some matter. Like nothing, no giant ornate swords or shields.
A mace. That's something that indeed catches your eye then, because at one of the stalls you see there is a mace that has a handle made out of this almost black wood, and wrapped around it are strands of red dyed leather, and the mace on top is this ball of polished, almost silver looking steel with dozens and dozens of various sized spikes coming out of it. Some of the spikes are long, others are short. Some of them are a little bit crooked, and it has, on the top of that ball, you see forged onto it is this little horned head with these long horns and a smiling face of a person. So probably that the victim of this maze, the last thing they see is this smiling face that is just coming at them. Tantuul stops, he looks at it, and he grabs it in a hand, gives it a few swings. He looks at you. He waves over the cellar, and a minotaur comes over. And Tantuul and the Minotaur converse in a language you don't speak. You don't speak Goblin, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't. I just kind of make myself look small. I try to give myself that sort of like child in a candy store eye look, like, oh.
While you do that, could you give me a perception check, please?
Okay. That's not good. Oh, it's a 12.
Total of 12?
Total 12.
Okay. You stand there making yourself small, the kid in the candy shop vibe, while Tantuul is having a conversation. And at one point, he turns towards you and leans a bit in, says in common to you, selling this one for about 15 silver pieces. You think I can haggle? I can give it a try. And he turns back to the Minotaur, and they have a conversation. You see the Minotaur at one point, after Tantuul is telling something, you see the Minotaur, he puts like his large fists on his hips, and he's just looking at him like...
I go behind Tantuul, give the ooh face.
Let's go, Tantuul, show us what you got!
And I'm actually, if you give the uwu face, I'm gonna have Tantuul do a persuasion check with advantage. The uwu face does provide.
Perfect. It is canon.
Let's see. Oh wow. The uwu face truly does provide, because that one was a 3 and the other is a 19. So that is on point. The Minotaur stands there and he first looks at Tantuul and then looks at you, Rain. And you're not sure if he's kind of like surprised by like your smaller figure for the ancestry that you're presenting as. But he looks at your face and he just sees you look at him, and the Minotaur turns to Tantuul, and then while speaking with Tantuul, he points at you behind Tantuul, and Tantuul turns to you and gestures at you, and he says something in Goblin that you don't understand, but you see the Minotaur like eyes wide. They converse, and Tantuul turns to you and then says in common, a little lower, I think I can haggle him down to 11 silver pieces.
11.
And he turns back to the Minotaur, and
I'm trying to signal like I affirm this price.
Gotcha. He turns to the Minotaur, but what both of you don't know where this other person has come from. As you were just quickly talking with Tantuul, and as he turns back to the Minotaur, standing next to the Minotaur is a woman, kind of a darker skin color, and instead of hair, she has this nest of snakes on her head, and they are this different species of snakes. Like some of them have these brown-white spots, others are emerald green. There's some with like different patterns in their scales, and they're coiling all over her head. And she has her hands crossed in front of her, arms crossed in front of her, and she has captured the Minotaur's attention. But she says something to the Minotaur, and you see one of those snakes is like curiously like dangling down the side of her head, and is like just slowly getting closer to the Minotaur. And the Minotaur steps back, and then he starts wandering into the back of his own stall, leaving you, Tantuul, and the woman with the snake hair.
Detect thought, subtle magic.
Yes. Who is she? I love her already. Can we know more, please?
So 2 sales points, and I'm looking for surface thoughts. I am aware that maybe I don't understand the language, but let's see what I get.
But you're going for surface thoughts to
Yes.
start with. All right. That's cool. For surface thoughts, there's no saving throw needed yet, right?
Correcto.
Perfect. So as you stand there and the Minotaur stomps away, you project into the mind of this woman, and one of the first things that you see on her surface thoughts is her. You see, probably from her perspective, seated around a table are multiple individuals, like goblins, bugbears, hobgoblins. They seem to be sitting in a tavern, and right next to her sits Tantuul. And the two of them, like, they quickly cheer. They cheer with their glasses, and her thoughts, you can't understand them the most. What Tantuul speaks in Goblin in her thoughts, but you see at one thought, you see Tantuul just standing up, and everyone at the table looks at him, and he's like seems to be inside some kind of story that he tells, and everyone at the table is just cheering and talking with him. And another glimpse that you can catch from the surface is just, you see, again from her perspective, her talking with a very large bugbear. Like, bugbears are already tall and have broad shoulders, but this one has wide square shoulders, and he's sitting in a chair, and he's smoking what looks like a cigar while he's talking to this woman. And those are like the surface thoughts that you capture.
I'm okay with the surface thoughts for now, because my friends are waiting for me, and I don't want to reveal any cool cards I have at the moment.
Perfect. And as you like quickly dive into the thoughts, you see that the woman turns towards Tantuul, and you already hear Tantuul say, "Senka?" And the woman turns to him, like nonchalantly, but can you roll me an insight check with advantage, because you have just been in her thoughts. that makes it easier to kind of gauge someone.
16 total.
16 total. Like, she turns nonchalantly towards Tantuul, but it's kind of like she had hoped for him to like call out her name. She was like completely prepared to do this. And she turns towards him, and the snakes, the one that was draped down her side, climbs back up on her head and takes the top position over the other snakes that move around on her head. And she turns towards Senka and she steps to him, like grace in her steps. And she speaks in Goblin with him in a very, it almost feels like there's a bit of a slight echo in her throat as she speaks. Like there's like, her own voice reverberates in her throat. And they speak in Goblin, there's a quick change, and there's some smiles and some awkward laughter that's like universal in every language. And then Tantuul says something, and eventually the Minotaur comes back, and he comes back up to Tantuul, and it seems like he wants to finish the transaction. So you are willing to also pay the 11 silver pieces, right?
Yep, I pull out a lot of coppers and silvers. I'm basically doing the act like I'm like really like struggling to find the coins. Like I'm not laden with hundreds of gold coins. Like that's kind of the vibe I want to put off in front of everyone here, even Tantuul.
Gotcha. You kind of like really want to just use your small coins instead of like, here, I have gold coins.
Exactly.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, you pull out those necessary coins, and you find the necessary 11 silver pieces in silver pieces and copper pieces if you want to finish the transaction, and you're given this gaudy, very metal mace that you now own.
Cool.
And as you finish this transaction, you see Senka, the woman with the snake hair. You see her like look also in your direction, give you a bit of a curious smile, and Tantuul then like quickly like pats her on the shoulder, and she just puts one hand on his hand then as he does that, and also like just taps the hand and looks at him, and then just walks by him in between the two of you. She always walks in between the two of you.
I make sure to give her space because anyone rushing past my illusion will see it as a visual illusion.
Very good. And you give her space, and she steps through that space. And as she walks away, some of the snakes on her hair just turn to look behind her. As she walks away, the snakes just look after her. And once she's out of sight, you see Tantuul go, We should get back to the Tribex. And he wanders away with you and your new goods. And you do make it back to the Tribex, and you have been given arranged rooms to stay in for the night. What would have your preference if you were given the option to either have like one large shared room for all of you or separate rooms? What would have your preference?
Delphine knows Rain's preference.
Which would be one large room shared with each other.
Oh, way.
Preferably one bed shared with each other.
That's Rain's fault.
Like a nunnery in here.
I think a large room would be cheaper.
Yeah, definitely. If you get a large room where all of you can have space in, for a night, it would be 2 silver pieces for a large room for all of you. So that would be the cheapest solution.
If Darguun comes back from his job, do we know how loud he snores?
Leonin, we've heard his inner monologue, the meow, meow. So maybe.
I actually, I forget, is it cold where we are, or is it, because like it's so hot right now? I can't
No,
remember if we had any other weather ever.
it's a very dry temperature. It's not like terribly hot, but especially the air is very dry here. So
Okay.
while the temperature, let's say like in Celsius, I would say it's like during the day 25 degrees Celsius. So that's okay, but it's mostly
Yeah.
because the air is so dry that makes it maybe feel a lot warmer.
Okay, so no cuddling the kitty today. I feel like we would get separate rooms. Rebus wouldn't mind like bunking with anybody, but I can't remember if I asked about the rooms last time.
Well, that's what
Well,
we kind
what
of
you
did out of character, but in.
Yeah, what you checked for last time, you also asked Toko, like, how much should we pay for a room?
Yeah, I remember
until
that.
until people are basically ripping us off. But
Yeah.
if your characters, I mean, Rebus and Delphine basically could like ask to check the rooms that are being offered, and the group room is a large circular room with actually 5 beds, so there's extra space as well. And in the center of the room is a nice fire pit that can provide some extra warmth. And there is also attached to the room, there's a bathing area where you can also, those of you who need it, can clean and enjoy a little bit of cleaning yourself. The individual rooms are they are a bit more expensive. They are at per person per night 4 silver pieces, and they're basically each just a single bed with their own bathroom, own little fire pit, but with the addition that you have a bit more privacy.
Yeah.
Single
Rebus
rooms.
would be Rebus would be up for a group room, but they understand that people sometimes need a bit of privacy, and we've been traveling together for like, I don't know, some weeks. So
It's not about the privacy, it's about the bathroom, in which, like, with Rain and her addiction to water, you know the problem.
Why are you
well,
suggesting that this is a
either room
problem?
has a bathroom.
Out with it. Do you think this is problematic?
If no one else can use the bathroom, yeah, it's problematic.
That is fair.
I
If
do
you
not
just
need-
stay in there.
I do not need to singularly use water in one confined room. I can use water wherever I want. If there's any pitchers or glasses of water in the room, I'll just immediately lift it all.
All of that up.
Hard to sink into a glass of water.
And there's the little droplets of water, like the cup amount, just kind of like over my face. It's like, is this a problem? I was unaware it was so problematic.
Miss
I
Rain,
mean-
I believe you're blowing things out of proportion. I'm sure Delphine didn't mean it in a mean way.
There must be balance.
Sure.
Dython loathes water.
Fair. But with all his hair, wouldn't you also?
Oh, he's also attuned magically to fire. Surely he could dry faster.
I would love to put that to the test. But for now, can we decide on which rooms we're going to take?
The common is fine. I will be more cognizant of my bathroom, my water room usages.
Delphine, would you prefer a separate room? I believe we have the funds. It shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Yeah, okay, get a group room. Whatever.
And the innkeeper has been standing next to the 3 of you while you were having this conversation about the advantages of which room to take, and you see the innkeeper like, oh, common room then. All right, 2 silver pieces. And they hand you over the keys to the common room,
2
and
silver
they are.
pieces per person?
That's the great thing about this deal here. It's just 2 silver pieces for the entire room for a night.
I'll
So,
pay. What?
yeah.
I mean, I was going to pay anyway, but what?
Take all my money.
All right. So Rebus cashes out this vast amount of 2 silver pieces to the innkeeper, and you're given keys to this common room, which is, as mentioned, a circular room with a fire pit in the center, in total of 5 beds, an attached bathroom and everything, where you can spend the rest of the evening, especially after Rain comes back from her little shopping trip to the markets. Now, one ostentatious maze richer, and the 3 of you are in your room. Is there anything else you would like to deal with before you rest up and prepare yourselves for your little journey?
If I may, friends, colleagues, what do you think about this particular artifact? Because our first mission for these apparently collective, endeavor that the Adventurers Guild has been tasked with was relatively simple. We picked it up in a shop. We just had it enchanted. And the second one, we had to already dabble into some kind of legend based on fairly amount in reality, right? But it was difficult enough to find. And now we're fully immersing ourselves in little more than a fairy tale. I can't help but just, again, feel a bit nervous about the purpose of all of this and the process, and I would like your input on it. Not that I'm thinking about not completing the mission. It's not our place to judge what these things are going to be for. We have been paid to complete a certain task, but I don't know. I wonder if there's anything through your minds that might be of interest.
You are simply concerned.
Well, it's not every day that someone sends a group to look for an object of legend, right? It's not uncommon, but
I think that what might end up as a problem at some point is if we are sent out basically for every somewhat magical item that is somehow connected to one of the planes, what will the person who gets these artifacts do with them?
that's what concerns me. I don't know much about the planes, but I know they can be very powerful.
I mean,
it's a
we have already seen it the last time where we were on this ice island.
correct. And I can't really imagine what someone would want to do with power attached to all of them. Probably some kind of very powerful spell, right? So,
Or a very powerful artifact.
maybe it's just been that I've been a bit more, how do you say, on edge lately, I believe is what it's called. I'll try not to bother you with all of these ramblings too often. Just, it's worth sharing it whenever we have a moment of quiet, I think.
I don't think it's
I didn't know.
particularly.
Sorry.
I was saying, I don't think it's particularly strange that the missions and the items themselves get subsequently harder. I imagine someone who was versed in chasing after little more than legend would be interested in picking up an enchanted item and fumbling through a labor dispute. However, as to what could be done with these assembled items, indeed, tapping into planar sources of magic and power very rarely is done for charitable reasons. I, for one, regardless of the reason, would like to be in the room when it happens. And not for charitable reasons either.
How come? I understand the curiosity, I feel it myself, but do you have a particular objective in mind, Miss Rain?
Gaining power for oneself and being able to wield it, especially if the arcane means that your wishes and desires, whatever they may be, tend to be unchallenged. As grand and political and heightened as they may be, or as frivolous and needless as they might be either. I have things I wish I could have done, and I could not do them for lack of power.
I see.
Too much power brings too much problems.
That is also true.
Sounds
I
like you
mean-
speak from experience, Miss Delphine.
Not really. I just see it everywhere.
But even if we were to take Miss Delphine's experiences, as limited as they are to us, the desire and wish to be flying across the ocean's surface on a fast ship requires influence and power to be able to buy a vessel and the authority to command workers on it. The ability to soar through the clouds and skies requires great resources and powers in forms of an airship, or the arcane means to propel one through the sky.
It's less about power, it's more about the money.
They are one
Well-
and the same.
One could say they, in some parts, they're equivalent.
I mean, we are being paid money, and in exchange we are bringing someone a means to power. Frankly, I think we should be charging much more.
I guess I was just interested in knowing what it was that you desired, Miss Rain. As in, if we could somehow help you accomplish it.
To be clear, I have no personal lottie goals. It's a possibility. It's a means to dream, to wander about, to be unfettered. I have no deep dreams of ruling over or lauding people. I simply wish to do what I want and go where I please.
So you wish for freedom.
In a
I
way,
see.
this need not be so complicated. But true freedom is very difficult without power.
I wonder if I perhaps categorically lack this desire, and so it makes it a bit difficult for me to understand. But I can see your point.
As far as I can tell, you already have the option to just go where you want to go. You're not bound to anything.
If I wish to go to the moon, simply to see whether the adage is that is a piece of cheese or not, I actually don't believe it is. I feel I need to make this comment first. Nonetheless, that takes an inordinate amount of power.
Well, you do like cheese a lot, so.
But yes, you are correct, Rebus, in that there are things
You know,
perhaps you want, but you are not so inclined to seek them out. For example,
you
go
know,
ahead.
you're saying you want ultimate freedom to do wherever you want to go, to do whatever you want to do. There's a difference between like just doing what you want to do and like having dreams that are so out of range that they will never come true, you know, like traveling to the moon.
Oh, but I believe that could be accomplished. Just needs the right engineering, correct?
Perhaps tomorrow I
Most
wish to
likely.
ride a horse made of diamonds. Why shouldn't I be able to ride a horse made of diamonds?
Why would you like to do that anyway?
Simply because I fancy to cushion this indulgence.
See, this is what confused me. It doesn't have any ultimate motive other than to satisfy a random craving. I don't believe I can feel that myself. But from what I've seen of the world, which admittedly it hasn't been much in this past months, but it's been a decent amount, it seems to be a common feeling among other creatures. So
While you are having this conversation, which is extremely interesting, by the way, could all of you, while you're talking, give me a perception check, please?
certainly.
Hmm.
Natural
Six.
20.
6.
Well, finally.
Oh, this is not bad. 17.
So,
I wish to ride a horse made of diamonds, and I shall name it Butt Stallion.
as
Thank you.
Rain goes into the borderlands of her imagination for this, she Rebus and Delphine, you notice that while you were talking, you see like the door of your room is closed, but you see at the bottom of the door was like this little slit that you could still see some light coming in from the hallway. You see that there must be someone standing in front of the door because parts of the light is blocked that comes through.
I don't know. I can't
Put up
see
my
it.
hand as in, meaning shut up. I look at Delphine if I notice that she also noticed.
Yeah, I am nodding towards you. We're letting Rain ramble on about her diamond horse.
Honestly, better for the conversation to continue.
And I'm slowly getting up from my bed and walking as quietly as possible over to the door.
But wait,
I'll
this
go on the
diamond
other
horse
side.
will also dispense legendary swords.
Why swords?
As the two of you do, Rebus and Delphine, as you sneak over, can you both give me a stealth check, please? And you ponder why a diamond horse would have legendary swords, but
Wait. That's a 20.
oh, nice.
I have plus 4 to stealth, so
17.
17. So
Not bad.
probably also covered by the ramblings of Rain as she rambles on about what she would do with true freedom. Both of you move like stealthily towards the door without making a single sound, and both of you are now at the door.
Is the door opening inwards or outwards?
Inwards. It opens inwards into the room.
Okay, I'll go in front of it and I'll let you be like next to the wall so you can open it and I can,
Okay, sure.
be the first thing that they will encounter. I have my glaive like by me.
Okay, cool.
As I see them start making this pincer move against the door, I'll realize what they're doing and be like, well, leaving the diamond horse aside, I wouldn't mind going to the moon and having a waltz on it as I start crackling magic, aiming it at the door. But I continue my rambling in my usual voice.
I'm counting down on my hand.
This is probably just housekeeping. Like it's anyone could be at the door. Why are we just acting like we're going to get murdered?
You're paranoid.
Okay, so Rain is crackling with magic. Rebus is keeping their glaive ready. Delphine, you are doing what exactly?
I'm just taking one of my daggers ready in the hand and opening the door. Like I'm counting down on my fingers and when I will open the door for the others.
Perfect. So you hold your dagger ready, count down on your fingers, and once the last finger drops, you open the door, and you see, as you open the door, you see Tantuul standing there, and he has changed out of his day clothing, and he's now wearing this kind of like a nightgown with a sash around his waist. He has his black hair, which he usually had in the top knot. He has it let down to his shoulders, and he's standing there, and he has like, in one hand he has a bottle, and in the other he has a few cups he's holding, and he's looking at all of you and says, "Oh, I
believe
didn't...
eavesdropping is considered rude in most cultures."
Oh, my apologies. I did not intend to eavesdrop. I heard that you were having an enthusiastic conversation, and I was waiting for a lull in the conversation to interrupt it. I must have kind of startled you. Feel like a little bit of wine?
I look at Delphine.
Yeah, sure. Come in. And just interrupt the next time. We are a little bit paranoid.
Oh, you see, in many cultures, it's seen as rude to interrupt people. So, we...
Yeah, understand. You are standing in front of a closed door. How shall we know that there's someone standing there if there is not a knocking on the door or anything?
Potato. Let us not worry about that. Water under the bridge. And he just strides into the room, and he puts the wine and the glasses down on the table.
I would like to see a river of wine.
Oh my, wouldn't that be marvelous? One where you could just sit at the river and drink. But that is not why I'm here. I was just on my way also to slowly go into my sleeping chambers. But just have one little nightcap left with you to also just discuss our plans for tomorrow, so you know what to expect. I am expecting to take us tomorrow morning out of Rhuukan Draal, and once we have left behind the city, we shall cross the plains towards the Seawall Mountains in a western direction, slightly in a similar direction that you came from, but we're going to take a bit of a southwestern approach there. The map that I possess to the last locations of the Chains of Mortal leads us into these mountains, and as I have been informed by your handler, you do have some experience in mountain traveling. I seem to have received some information that you have traveled through some mountains, though I feel like there's a lot of details that have not been provided to me. Well,
we're more experienced in scaling down mountains than climbing up.
Interesting. That might come in handy. Not on the way there, but maybe on the way back. It's always good to have a good exit strategy, wouldn't you agree? Anyhow, before we leave the city, I would have to pick something up on the way out. It's really on the way out of the city. I have to have some final arrangements before we can travel, making sure that we have everything we need. Just the minorest of detours. So just so you know.
Is it so minor as I'm looking at his face?
Make an insight check.
That's where I'm going.
Let's go, finally.
17 total.
Oh my god. Okay.
Oh my god, why? Why? Huh?
He Tantuul looks at you and he has he says, I have an old business colleague that I have to first check out on before we head out.
Was it her?
At first, he looks at Rain, and then he looks at the rest of you. Is she always this subtle? Is she always this very subtle?
A master of
Yeah,
subtlety.
she's very small today, especially.
I will minor illusion, and my seaweed-like curls turn into like kind of overlaid with snakes on my head.
Cool. as you do that, you see Tantuul, like, he gets flustered. Like, he has, like, as a hobgoblin, he has, like, a reddish skin color, but you can see, like, his cheeks turn a darker red as he gets a little bit flustered from this. He's just,
I absolutely abuse this by walking closer.
and he's like, what you've seen at the market was, that was indeed the old business colleague, that I have to make sure that all the business that we have is done before we leave on this little voyage. And what the Rebus and Delphine, like, you see just Rain with these illusionary snakes in her hair, and Tantuul being flustered by this.
Yeah, I just look at Delphine confused. Just still with the glaive on my hand, just kind of like, should I close the door?
Yeah, I'm making a gesture that you can take down the glaive.
Look, I have been a guide, explorer, and adventurer of my own a little bit, and there are a few old contacts I have from that. Senka being one of them, and at that point he turns also to Delphine and Rebus. Disguised Rain over here ran into Senka with me. She's as far as I tell, she's a Medusa, originally from Droam. She's been doing a bit of business here. She used to do better business in the past, but she wants to make sure that I don't leave town until I finish my payments to her.
I see. So
They are fully financially. I will not lie, she has her allures, but I respected her as a colleague. And
tell us how much you respected her. Sorry.
I
Single
respect-
snack that's up above all the others, like looking right at Tantuul.
Oh, come on, I'm not even her type. She's look, it doesn't matter. This is, I don't want you to get caught up in this. I just have to make sure that business is finished before we leave, and it's just a minor detour. And I thought it would be fair to inform you about this before.
What did we say? Money is power, correct? Are you in trouble with this payment? Are you not capable of fulfilling?
I
transaction?
am not in trouble as long as I finish this payment.
Right. Do you have the funds for it?
I do. I do.
Okay.
And I shouldn't worry about that. That might be my last coin I have, because once I'm done with this business with you fancy people, I have a bit of more coin again. And that is the thing about coin. It comes and it leaves. It's the natural cycle of coin. You should not be afraid to spend coin. It is meant to be spent.
The natural cycle of coin. Sorry. Well then, yeah, it should not be a problem, correct, friends?
Also, another thing, and he looks at all of you, and he also looks at Rebus, who stood there with a glaive raised when he entered. You are, would you consider yourself proficient in the arts of war?
I believe we could say so.
Perfect!
On our
Perfect.
lives.
Perfect. And he fills his glass up again with wine, and he takes a sip like,
Uh-huh.
good.
Do you want more specifics, like war, sorcery, thievery?
Oh, I witnessed Rain
Basically
over there
everything.
have this impressive crackle between her hands, so a little bit of magic can never do harm. And considering also her capabilities of concealing herself, impressive. The reason why I'm asking, not that it's going to be necessary, because I'm just going to do my payment,
course.
but we have to deal with a bunch of people I would rather not be dealing with. And I keep to my word, but those people might not.
So, wait. You want to hire us as like your bodyguards?
I would make sure that your handler, dearest Laura, and I hope to catch up with her soon, is going to be aware of this extra service. You might, and I want to underline this is like a very big underline, that might need these extra services of you, and should I indeed need these services, you will be compensated for them.
I'm in. I just kind of lie back down with my feet in the air, wondering if I should paint my toes again or something. Like completely like casual, frivolous, and not perturbed.
There's something I can't quite understand. Or it's not making sense to me. You said you did have the funds, right? Whatever that might be, I assume money. So
I do.
Why are you so nervous and sweating and concerned and asking for bodyguards? Just make the payment.
I think the least I can do in this scenario is to provide you with a bit more context for my
Most
situation.
certainly, yes. Especially if it's going to delay our own mission, which is the one you are being paid for.
Absolutely fair. And I do cherish that we can have such an honest business partnership here. I used to work together with Senka. She and I worked in a company of freelancers, sorts for hire, experts for hire. And we were doing an admirable job. There are many stories I could tell you. My favorite, no time for stories. We'll keep that for later. Anyhow, Senka fell in with a specific group of people. They're called the Margul. They are a group of, well, goblinoids who believe that these modern ways of our young nation of Darguun are not the right ways. They think we're being too diplomatic, is what they say. And
So some kind of political group with an opposing
exactly,
view.
you could, yes, they are a very political group. The Margul are usually have most of their forces still in the Seawall Mountains. And they are one of the few clans who do not pay tribute to the Lesh, Haruk, who rules from Rhuukan Draal. Senka is working for them. And now that she has the Margul as support, she feels more secure in calling in old depths that are still between her and former members of our group. And I want to be done with that. I don't agree with the debt that I'm paying off, but if it is what is necessary to end this chapter of my life and not deal with her and her misbegotten ways anymore, I shall do it.
I see.
However,
the
thing is,
it's not a problem about being able to pay. It's a problem about morally not wanting to.
correct. And the Margul, I don't completely trust them. I don't completely trust the fact that I can go to our place where we should meet and we will be done by just paying them gold. I also know Senka. I know the good of her heart, but I also know the bad of it.
Just to make it clear, what do you expect from us? Just merely being there, intimidating the bunch of them? Or like if it's necessary that we fight against them, depending like either letting they stay alive or killing, you know.
Let's make us one thing very clear. Should it come to a fight, I don't want you to kill anyone. I know that people from outside of Darguun think that everything in this country is decided by some kind of bloody combat, by some kind of duel that always has to go to the death, but I am done with that. If it should come to a fight, I want to leave them maybe with a scar and a broken nose, but still with their lives. But I don't even want it to get to that. If all you can do tomorrow is to just be a little bit of force behind my back, and trust me, walking the streets with a warforged like Rebus here, that's already, you're marking your territory there. And I'm already, I'm already heard some rumors in the streets about the interesting warforged that has arrived in Rhuukan Draal. And story on itself, one we can focus on later.
What did you? Why are people talking about us? I'm so confused.
Well,
What's your special?
You are
At large.
With all due respect, we don't have many warforged in the nation of Darguun, and especially not models like you. But what it would already be enough if you're a bit of a presence there, to maybe make sure that Senka and her new friends don't try anything stupid. And once that is settled, you don't have to deal with anything else of that. We're just going to focus on the mission and then we're done with it. This will make sure that while we're out looking for the chains, I don't have an old companion turned rival chasing me. Though, I have to say, that's the perfect ingredient for a great story.
Yes, well, I'd rather we don't become casualties in your narrative. And I turn to Delphine and Rain just to hear what they have to say about it.
Rain already just agreed to like, yeah, I'm in, sounds cool.
Well, if it needs to be done, then we need to get this over.
Excellent. And he like finishes his cup of wine, puts it down, stands up. I'll make sure you have breakfast in the morning, and everything should be arranged. I hope that everything is to your liking here. I'm in the room just down the hall. If there's anything I can help you with, just stand in front of my door like I did, in front of yours. And I'll sure
to be
will
noticed.
I hope so. Thank you.
Rebus is so planning on just entering his room at some inadequate point.
In the middle of the night.
They're becoming rebellious like that. But yeah, they just nod.
And Tantuul gets up. He leaves the bottle of wine in the room and also the cups, and he leaves you, closes the door as he leaves, and leaves you in the room as well. And
I give a breakdown of what happened at the market to Rebus and Delphine, including what I spied.
So seems like there was something going on between them, or it was one-sided or whatever, and now this is basically a rough breaking up with everything.
I don't know why, but I feel a sort of kinship with this Senka person.
Well, we can't judge someone we don't know, especially because they might have so many different motives to do what they're doing, that Tantuul disapproves of. So I'm just a bit worried about our own safety, first of all, because this is not part of our job, and second of all, just how long this is going to delay us. But there is the point that it might be helpful to not have someone follow us who might have ill intent towards our group just because we travel with them.
To be fair, when was the last time that we were
Better to settle
really...
this.
Where was the last time that we were really concerned about our safety? Because on each damn mission we have been, there was never a point where we have been safe at all. Maybe at the harpies for like a brief second, but other than that.
That was a really nice second. I enjoyed that. I feel like I am failing having everyone be in danger all the time. I don't know if that has to do with my programming. It's just not a good feeling. It might equate to what you call anxiety? Probably. It feels like I have a tightening sensation in my throat, so we'll be fine.
It's okay. Cool down. Just go with the flow.
We'll be fine. We can... Plus, I'm very curious to meet this Senka person. I've never seen someone with snakes for hair, so...
You made quite an impression on the Minotaur vendor.
Interesting. Does anybody know when we should expect Darguun to show up? It might be good to have his help on this endeavor. Him being the most skilled fighter.
Well, he did assure me that he would meet us here once his additional errands were complete, but you never know.
Okay, well, I think we'll be able to fend off for ourselves, no matter what. So, let's get some sleep. Correct?
First for the bathroom.
And with that,
And
You-
so...
the-
it was taken for the night.
No.
And Delphine had to go down the hole because, you know, the only
Half an
bathroom
hour, max. That's generous.
Well, no matter how long Rain finally took in the bathroom, you can enjoy your long rest. And I think at this point, it's a good time to take one of our little extra breaks for now. Let's take a little 5-minute break at this point to before we see what the party gets into. As mentioned earlier, we're going to take a little extra break today to because of the heat over here in Europe. We're going to just quickly wipe some of the sweat from our brow and think about how to deal with a possible Medusa trying to finish certain business. And we'll be back in approximately 5 minutes. So stick around, grab yourself some extra water, and we'll be back in 5. See ya. And we are back. Short little break. And we're just going to, we have refilled our drinks. We are ready to go. The cat is saying hi, but you cannot see the little bugger yet. But keep an eye out of him because we do have cat vantage. So, you have had a chance to enjoy your long rest. So if you have to, you can click that long rest button on your character sheet to regain anything you lost while being out in the city. And find yourself in the morning woken by a rap on your door. And it is Tantuul who's making sure that all of you are up and ready to go. He is already dressed. He has his hair once again in this high knot on top of his head. He quickly makes sure everyone is awake and then says that he's heading downstairs to the dining area of the Tribex to where already breakfast is awaiting you for those of you who want to have a snack before you head out into the city. And you are giving that you're taking a chance to make your take your snack and your breakfast. Is there anything else you would like to do before you go out on the town?
So, knowing that there is this meeting being set up and that Tantuul is in the establishment with us, I'm wondering if anyone is in this morning area, breakfasting area, is kind of keeping eyes on Tantuul.
A excellent point. Give me a perception check, please.
14.
14. Look around, and there's a few other people here. It's not super early at this point. I'd say it's like 8 in the morning, and you don't see anyone who is particularly paying attention to your group or to Tantuul at this point. What you would notice is that Tantuul is, after he made sure that every one of you is at the breakfast table, he's making a bit of a rounds and talks with other people here in the Tribex. He's just making a bit of conversation in Goblin once again. And from his body language, you get that it's more like very relaxed, casual small talk that he's doing. Like he's just sitting sideways, talking with people, walking over to someone, giving like a quick pat on the shoulder, and quickly probably says something like hi. But there's no long-lasting conversation with anyone. He's just doing the rounds.
He's doing the social butterfly.
Exactly. So, once breakfast is finished, Tantuul will make sure that, also reminds all of you that you should already bring all your stuff with you, because once you're done, you're heading out of the city, so that your bags are packed, and you're going to head out of the Tribex, going past the stables where when you arrived, there were some of these massive riding bears in the stables. At this point, there's only one of those bears left, and the bear's like lying on his back and like all stretched out on his back, and you can hear this deep snoring sound as you walk by. Some of the stable personnel is clearing out the stable as well of any kind of stuff that is in there. And you leave behind the Tribex and once again cross through the large bloody market, where at this time the stall owners are setting up their business for the day. You see some of the city guards walking by you, giving a quick look at all of you. And before you know it, you leave behind the heart of Rhuukan Draal. Now the massive red bricked fortress that looms in the distance in the center of the city at your back. And you're heading into the alleys outside, in the outside areas of Rhuukan Draal, where you notice where towards the center of the town, around the bloody market, the streets are a bit wider, and the alleys also a bit wider. Here, everything gets a bit more cramped. There's more of these houses that are built on top of each other. There are more tents and little more improvised places of living. All is a bit more cramped. Rebus, was there anything you would like to do?
Yes, I would like to ask if it were possible that Rebus, in this time while we were waiting for rain and to go shopping, could I have found a small common to goblin dictionary or some kind of book of like basic learned goblin for dummies? You know?
Like the Lonely Planet equivalent of the for like your visit to Rhuukan Draal. Here are the 15 most useful words to know.
Yes, just something to start, you know, because why not? Also, I don't know how fast I am at picking up a language, so like, let's give it a try.
You could definitely, in the meantime, like at least gotten like a pamphlet with some like essential words.
Hello,
to
goodbye,
be clear,
thank you, help. Yeah.
Exactly, that kind of things. This is far from being fluid or being understanding the language in any detail. But you would have like a few pamphlets for like, where do I find X and stuff like that. So,
excellent.
Yeah, totally. You could find that.
Yeah, and if I could find something that goes more in depth, like I would just throughout our journey, I would be reading it. I don't know if
Gotcha.
I had the luck, but
Gotcha. Yeah. So while you're walking, you do a little bit of light reading while also paying attention where you're going. But you're now a little bit away from the center of the city, and you find yourself stepping into a narrow alley where you can't walk with more people than 2 next to each other. And this
how
alley,
cliche, Rain says, like
it-
out loud as they're walking into this alley for this shady meetup to hand over money. What's next? Is it going to be in a canvas bag with an S and a stripe through it?
you know what? For that, give me a perception check, please. By the way, everyone, all of you can, by
Let's
the way,
go.
give me a perception check at this point.
17 for
try.
Rain.
17. And by the way,
natural 20
Oh!
again.
excellent. For a total of
That's a chuck.
22.
Natural 20 for 21.
wow. And that was a 17 on Rebus. Sorry, a 17 on Rain, right?
Yes.
Well, we are
Gotcha.
very perceptive.
Wow. Wow. Sorry, I have to move
Having
my
a
cat.
good day today.
Have to move my cat out of the way for a moment. He's lying on my notes. But even without my notes, I know that these are fantastic rolls. So as Rain just mentions, like points at the cliche of the narrow alley.
She's more entertained. She's not annoyed, but she's like, oh my goodness. It's like a bingo card is getting filled. What's bingo?
You see to your left, there's a building of like 15 feet tall with red tiles on the roof. And you see crouched behind a chimney on that roof, you see the figure of a bugbear with a crossbow who's looking down into the alley.
Oh, I
All of
totally
you see
wave.
that. And you see that bugbear looks at you. And
I would just nonchalantly take out my pistol and wave back.
And you would also, with these rolls, that's not the only thing you notice. On the opposite side of the alley, also on a roof, on a brown tiled rooftop, there's another bugbear who has, in one of his hands, you see this wand in his hand. And you just see him sitting there as well.
Rivers just tilts their head at them.
And you see the bugbears both also see that you see them. And there's this awkward moment where you get the impression that they're not really sure what they should do.
Perfect.
Wait
Where-
back! Rude!
Before coming out of one of the houses, there's another house to what would be your character's right, which has a straw rooftop, and it seems like a very newly put house. You actually, with your perception rolls, you would actually notice that it seems to be built on older bricks that have burn marks on them, as if this house was erected on the remains of a burned down house. And stepping out of the house, you see the snake-covered head and figure of Senka stepping out of the house, and she has over a leather breastplate, she has a green-colored jacket that flows down all the way to her knees, and her snakes, the variety of species of snakes on her head, are all moving about as she walks out. But the moment she steps right in front of you, she is sideways towards you, but all her snakes turn towards you before the rest of her face turns towards you. And
Fascinating.
she stands there in front of you. Her eyes are this striking yellow with slits as pupils, and she has a bit of a darker skin tone as she stands there. And she also has in each hand, one wand. And yes, please.
As I take her in, I'm like, I try not to give off the illusion that I've seen this face before. I'm like, oh, but I still want to do one final turn around in my whole area. And while my back is turned, I want to minor illusion the sound of squeaking mice in a corner. Minor illusion has no verbal component, so I'm just literally turned around while I'm semanticing. I want to I make the sound of like rats or mice squeak, 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 squeak in the corner. And as I turn around, do I notice her snakes reacting to food?
As you do that and you turn around, all of you suddenly hear like where did these mice come from? You hear
Just the
this sound of squeaking vermin around, and most of the snakes on top of Senka's head, they just stay fixated on you. But there's this one yellow little snake that like has its head flitting around looking for where the mice are, while the rest are just deadpan focused on you.
So I finished doing my little spin and turn back. It's like,
And then Senka speaks. And as she sees all of you, she speaks in common. And she says, "Oh, Tantuul, you brought a few friends, I see. I was hoping to just catch up with you a little bit." And Tantuul points to the bugbears on the rooftop. "Sure, wanted to talk with me alone, while under the watchful gaze of two of your henchmen. Where did you get those wands? I mean, you never really liked wands." And you see Senka with a wand in each hand. No, there's a lot of things I don't like, but sometimes something you don't like can still be useful. And Tantuul looks at her, and there's like this moment of silence between the two. Is there anything you would like to do in this moment while these two are having an exchange?
Just double checking on a magic item. Does not take an action to activate them. Okay. Nope. Okay.
All right.
Well, fine. Don't worry about it.
You see Tantuul at that point like reaches into a pouch, dangles on his belt, and he pulls out a small satchel with, they can already hear clinking with coins, and he like throws it up over his head, catches it again, and then throws it over to Senka, who does not have a hand free to catch it because she's willing to wands. The satchel lands in front of her, coins clinking. She stows one of the wands in like this kind of bandolier on her breastplate, where she just like puts it in front of her chest, and then picks up the coins, opens the bag. That's gonna be it, right? You're really done with this, Tantuul. And you see him there. No further business. I wish you all the best in whatever path you want to follow. Senka looks at him. Her eyes, like the slits, are like really narrow in her eyes. I heard that you're taking these outsiders on a little trip. On a trip to something that's a bit more valuable than these few coins that you owe me. Why don't you take me on that trip as well? For old time's sake. Yes,
If
Rebus?
I may, Miss Senka, pleasure making your acquaintance. I would be concerned that, given your manner of speech, there might be a conflict of interest, and that would just not be beneficial for a group. It would just lead to further, well, tension. And I don't think any of us would be happy with that. So, understandably, we would rather not have to share this voyage with you. Nothing personal. And Tantuul here is under our employment, technically, so it's not really his decision to make.
While you speak, she stows her other wand and she picks up the pouch and she walks over to you. And she just now stands like right in front of you. She's smaller than you. You're a tall fellow.
Yeah. I'm not
And
trying to be intimidating, but Rebus is just
Oh.
Rebus, so like they're standing tall and just,
Yeah.
you know, very professional kind of attitude.
Yeah, and Senka looks up at you while you speak, while you like give her this entire spiel about why this is a bad idea. And she just looks at you and all these snakes that now some of them like dangle down from the side of her face as they're all eyeing you. And she just looks into your broken faceplate. Fascinating.
I could say the same for you.
No
Thank you.
eyes to glare into. I wonder. And as she says that, you hear Tantuul say, Senka, in a very strict voice.
My heart.
And Senka turns around away from you. And she looks at the rest of the band. I could even try to make it worth your while. Maybe if I join you on this little voyage, you could have an extra hand. You don't know what dangers await you finding this fabled chains of Mortal. And it's been so long since I heard Tantuul tell the story of Mortal. I bet he's
I
going
look
to
at
tell it to you while
Tantuul
you travel.
When she mentions like the name of the item, I just, you know, look at him because like who could have told her? Just
You
kind of-
know,
I do not have an expression on my face, right? But like the intention of Rebus is you made your bed, now lie on it. You know. Like
If you like quickly glance over at Tantuul as she mentions that, you see Tantuul has like a very quick, awkward smile on his face before his face turns more serious again.
you know, if you want to spend some time with Tantuul alone, you can very well do that another time.
And now she turns towards you, Delphine. Like she strides over from where Rebus was, and she turns towards you, looks at you in your entire outfit with your head on, your new fancy cloak that you have on. And there's a smile, and it has a smile on her face, and as she smiles, you can see that she has like these very like elongated canines in the front as she smiles. Oh, I've had plenty of time with Tantuul. And I'm kind of sad that I don't have that much time with him anymore. All I really want for is to get a chance of reuniting with him. And Tantuul then says, Tantuul says in a very stern voice, Senka, we had a deal. You have the coin. We'll be on our way.
Rain will go up to Tantuul and just kind of slide her arm through his. Besides, I don't like sharing. And I start to like pull him backwards to walk. Like he said, let's go. So Rain is moving him to walk, like holding his arm, like mine.
shit.
Ray,
We're leaving,
can
right?
can you give me your choice, either a performance, persuasion, or intimidation check, depending on how you want to approach this.
I'm trying to persuade because that's where my points are at. So straight roll.
Mhm.
Okay. Shit. No, I'm not gonna say anything, regardless of my modifier. 11 plus 16.
16. That was a persuasion, right?
Yes, a persuasion.
Okay. You hook your arm in with Tantuul and pull him a bit back. You say what you said right into Senka's face. You see her eyes narrow, and so do the eyes of all her snakes on her head as she just homes in on you. And she looks at Tantuul and says, I think we got ourselves a better deal here. And she puts her hand on one of the wands she has in a bandolier. And I'd like all of you to roll initiative at this point, please.
Oh,
What?
why? Why, Rain?
Of course, let's just get it over with. I'm like, why are we stalling?
Wait,
Come
we were almost fine. We were almost fine.
on. We were never going to be fine.
20. Come on.
One second. So,
I love that.
Rebus, that was a 20 on your end, right?
Yes, dirty 20.
30-20. Delphine, what do you got?
20.
Ooh, who of you has the higher dexterity? I think.
I have a +4 on dexterity.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You could.
13. Rain, what do you got?
14.
14.
That's a pretty good roll for me today.
Cool. Let's roll for our combatants. Ooh, boy, poor. Well, this is kind of fitting. Oh boy, what are you people doing?
What needs to be
And-
done?
And I also need one for Senka. Where's ooh.
Excuse you?
I never excuse myself for weird DM sounds. And Tantuul is also going to join the fight.
Yeah, he better.
Ada,
That's not-
Senka is now your problem since you
Yeah,
caused
I'm
the
not
situation.
staying. I'm not staying, but you know.
She was never going to let him leave.
I am
But okay.
going to
Map, super map.
Oh
add
heck, now
cards
I need
to
to
the area.
find a way to open Astro. I think I'll do it on my phone.
So I got Rain over here.
Next to Tantuul, arms linked.
Where is my Tantuul token? Tantuul looks way cooler than this token, but that's the token I got. And then we have Senka there, and we have some bugbears
Ah yes.
up on the
I
rooftops.
know where they are.
And I am also going to make sure that our dear viewers can see what kind of situation you got yourself into. But first, let me put on some battle music.
And when you have a hot second, would you also let me know how high up those grunts are?
Right. Those are about 15 feet up.
Okay, noted.
And where is my
Oh, we're that close. Oh.
whoop? And we are in this situation here. We have a little dirty fight down in the streets. And top of initiative, top of round 1 is Senka, who rolled a total of 22 on her initiative roll. And who is going to...
Ow.
Rain, you know what you did.
She is actually, while she's still reaching for the wand on her bandolier, she leans forward and she is going to attack with her snake hair against Rain. That is
Oh, it
a
hits.
21 to hit.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I do have. Remind myself, I do have potions.
That deals 3 points of piercing damage and 11 points of poison damage.
Okay.
Excuse you?
And once the snakes snapped towards Rain, the snakes on the back of Senka's head snap backwards towards Delphine, and she makes a second attack with her snake hair against Delphine.
Do we get any kind of like reaction to prevent it or anything?
No, these are her attacks. She's just basically making her regular attacks against you, and she has 2 of those. Does a 15 hit you?
No.
No, it doesn't. The snakes, some that reach you can parry them. Others are just, they don't get close enough to bite you. And that ends Senka's turn and actually brings us to Delphine.
Okay, so Rain is better in dealing with the guys above.
Mm-hmm.
Rebus is better with dealing with Senka in front. Oh.
You get to choose.
Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, I think. Yeah, I'm concentrating myself on Senka, and I will.
She also just attacked you and Rain.
Is this true? Yeah, I will just for now, since I don't want to use any kind of special abilities or anything, I will just test the waters and try to attack with my rapier normally.
Swing away with that rapier.
This is good. Does a 23 hit?
Yaha, that is.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
Okay, I need a D8.
I just checked in chat, by the way. I saw, Ida, I saw you post that Senka is an anagram of snake. I was not aware of that. I will have to 100% promise you, I did not give that name because I was aware of it, and now I am very much aware of it.
Oh, excellent!
9 points of piercing damage, non-magically.
Perfect. So yeah, you bring your rapier forward and you kind of stab in the back of Senka. The snakes try to like distract you so that you don't hit, but you hit the back of Senka, and you hear her hiss, but also the snakes on her head hiss as she's being hit for 9 points of damage. And is there anything else you would like to do in your turn?
Oh wait, didn't I have a mobile feed? No, I didn't have a mobile feed. Okay, no, I'm standing. No, wait. This is shit. I don't want to stand there, actually. I'm moving a little bit backwards, and I will take the the attack of opportunity if she makes one.
Oh yeah, she's, especially because you now stabbed her, the snake here tries to get an attack of opportunity on you. But a 9 does not hit you, I'm pretty sure it doesn't. So that goes wide, and that's your turn?
Yep, that's my turn.
That brings us then to Rebus.
Yeah, okay, I can do this. So, Rebus will turn to Senka and just say, well, I was hoping for a... oh god, words. This is just serial malfunctioning. Well, I was hoping for a diplomatic resolution to this encounter. but that seems out of reach right now. And they will take the glaive and try to cut some of the snakes whenever she has them like all pointed towards, I think, Dauphine. Just like swipe and like essentially cut her hair. You know?
Perfect.
So
Make
glaive
an
attack.
with that glaive.
Oh, really bad. Sadness. 11. Actually, I have advantage. So
You have advantage.
Ah.
Cash in that
Thank you,
advantage.
Cher.
still not great. A 15.
That just hits.
Yes.
And
Yes!
through
Cher
the
saved
power
the
of
day.
Advantage, you spring in that glaive, and you actually hit with the glaive. You hit one of the snakes on the head, and you like hear like this hiss from the snake as you hit in there. And roll for damage if you want to. How much damage does it deal?
Shit. I rolled a 9 on a d10, so 13 points of slashing damage.
Well,
That is quite the hit that you bring there in the glaive as you cut into some of the snakes on Senka's head. And is there anything else you would like to do in your turn?
Actually, I'll get myself between Senka and Dauphine, or Senka and Rain. I don't know. Probably Senka and Rain. Like, I'll try. Because Dauphine is far away now, so yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go. Like, if Rain lets me, I'll go in between them, kind of like, you know, since Senka attacked her before. Just.
Yeah.
L-
You're
In
basically-
the
you're-
sense of this was a warning shot. Stop attacking my friends.
Fair point. Anything else on your turn, or is that it?
No, that is it for now, because Rebus has high hopes.
Okay.
I'm
So-
just not continuing.
That ends your turn, and that brings us to Tantuul's turn, who sees that combat has happened, and he unsheathed the scimitar on his belt, and he looks at Senka, just shakes his head, but then swings his sword at her. That's not bad, my boy. That's a total of 20 that
My boy.
hits. I should roll a d8, not a d6. Woof! That's a 7. That's
wow.
8 points. That's 8 points of damage as he like brings down his weapon upon Senka, and also like quickly like side glances at Rain next to him because she's still hooked in one arm. He like unsheathes his sword and he's like brings it down at Senka, but he still has Rain hooked in one arm. It's
I
like,
do this on the other arm.
and that ends his turn and does bring us to the center of our drama, Rain.
Hey.
So,
Going to look at Senka, kind of sort of glare back at her since she made a thing about wanting to like look into Rebus's eyes. So I'm going to like make my eyes completely dark black, and the air in front of me vibrates as I cast dissonant whispers at her. So I would like her to make a wisdom saving throw, and the DC is 13.
A wisdom saving throw, and the DC is 13.
I'm casting this at first level, by the way.
That is a total of 16.
Okay, she takes half damage then of 3d6.
Ooh, 3 to 6.
9.
that's at level 1.
11. Yeah.
5.
Half that 5.
All right.
And I'm going to spend 2 sorcery points and make that. That was a quickened spell, so I'm going to cantrip it up, as well as I say, we got it on the wrong start. And I take her hand to shake it to like say hello, and I cast Shocking Grasp.
Literally the like prank of having a shocking thing on you. I just
Okay.
wow.
Oh, it's a 19 plus things.
19 plus things. Yeah, that hits. Yeah, 19 plus things always hits.
Okay, and we'll take
Mm.
1d8 lightning damage. Oh no, you mentioned that Senka is wearing something leather, right? Her armor is supposed to be okay, so
Yeah.
she doesn't take extra things. That's 4 lightning damage.
As she's being zapped from a friendly handshake.
And having noticed that she had used her momentum to swing at Delphine and her footing is in that direction, I am just ever so gracefully going to slide over here with my back against the wall.
Gotcha.
Action bonus action movement. That is my turn.
Perfect. And that brings us to the bugbears of the roof. Don't we always hate it when there's bugbears on the roof? There is the bugbear grunt number 2.
Moderately. Yeah.
This is the one. The number 2 is the one with the wand that he has in one hand, and
Fun.
he has a clear line of shot. Like, I have to, with these 2D maps, it's always like I have to kind of still think like 3-dimensionally. Rebus is kind of not visible to him from his angle, but Rain is visible to him. So he's going to, like, you see him point his wand at Rain, the tip of it glowing with a red glow, and a bolt of fire is fired at Rain.
No me gusta.
Does a 15 hit?
Silvery barbs. Reaction.
So he has to roll another d20 then, right?
Yep, and take the lowest of the 2. And I give... Who's next? Delphine advantage.
Cool. So he rolls silvery barbs, and that is an 11, so that's a
Does not
15
hit.
total still. Does not hit?
It hit. 15 total hits me still.
Gotcha.
But Delphine keeps advantage for the next minute. Or until her next roll. Check attack or saving throw.
I'm throwing dice here. I'm confused by silvery barbs. No, here comes here comes the damage for... Oh, wow, what an impressive... That's 1 fire damage to Rain.
Worth it.
All right. That was bugbear number 1, ending his turn there. Bugbear number 2...
No, that was bugbear number 2.
Sorry, that was numbers. Bugbear number 2 and number 1 goes closer to the edge of his rooftop and has a clear shot on Rebus, and this is the one with the crossbow. So he's going to fire a crossbow bolt at Rebus. But I think a total of 7 does not hit Rebus. So that crossbow bolt, like,
good try though.
Go through the air, is attached in the wall behind Rebus, and that ends Bugbear's turn and brings us up to the top of the round, round 2, and we start again with Senka, who sees Rebus squaring up with her, and she looks again at you. Like, moments before this fight, she looked with fascination at your shattered faceplate, but now she looks with frustration at your shattered faceplate. And she then steps up here and turns her head towards Rain.
No looky? No looky?
Hmm?
No looky?
Rain, as you see a bunch of snakes looking your way, you see Senka's eyes briefly flash with a glow. Can you please give me a Constitution saving throw?
Okay. That's I have a +6. 16.
As you make eye contact briefly with the yellow glowing eyes of Senka, for a moment you feel your feet getting heavy and your limbs stiffen, but you shake free of it, as whatever Senka tried to do with you has no effect on you.
I shake it off and I move my arms over Tantuul's shoulder.
She has...
We're trying to de-escalate and you're just like, no, more. Yes.
She just glares at you, her eyes just narrow, and all the snakes on her head are now just lowered to her side and all glaring at you, as that was her action on her turn, though being frustrated is a free action at my table, so she ends her turn at
God.
that. And that brings us to Delphine. That is your turn, Delphine. What would you like to do?
You have advantage on your next attack save or
Yeah,
attack.
that is good actually, since I will try to do something I'm not actually that good with, but we're trying this.
Give it a go.
I mean, the distance was good to give a better overview over the situation. I will. Yeah, I think
You can
I will just run up to her, give her like a good kick in the back as an unarmed strike, and
Mhm.
try to grapple her since I have the Tavern Brawler feet.
And
So
as
first-
Tavern Brawler, when you make an unarmed strike, you can also grapple as part of the unarmed strike.
As a bonus action, I need the Tavern Brawler strike as action, and as a bonus action, I can't attempt to grapple.
And does the strike have to hit so you can grapple as a bonus action?
Yeah, I need to hit first. So
Okay,
let's see.
good. So let's give that unarmed strike in there.
Advantage.
Advantage on the roll.
Yeah. Wait, I need to. And not die. Oh, what is this? Numbers. 17.
That hits. That hits, so you can roll the damage for the unarmed strike.
Which is not much.
Mm.
Yeah, let us
Just
know
unarmed
how Senka's
strike.
looking.
It's a 2.
It's a 2.
Yeah, a 2
Something.
in her back, and as a bonus action, I try to grapple.
Is it try or do you automatically grapple as part
No,
of the
no,
Tavern
it's
Brawler?
But you already hit. So
it's an attempt to grapple.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
right. All right, so you can make
So-
an athletics check, and she is going to resist, try to roll higher than you roll.
Now I can advantage would have been good. Okay, yeah, that's an 18.
18?
yeah.
Oh no, it's a 17 plus.
With no bonus.
Oh.
So
I also had no
Yeah,
bonus.
17. So as you like run in the back, give that unarmed strike, you like follow up into a grapple, and you just have her grappled at this point.
Okay,
Any-
cool.
Anything else on your turn?
Action, bonus, action, movement, no.
Perfect.
Nice.
Oh wait, I will just say, okay. Calm down here. Snakey.
Oh, you're saying it's a card, not rain. Okay.
I don't think you have to make an attack, but like I'm reading the grapple rules, and it
When
says
you hit
that
a
it replaces an
creature-
attack.
Yeah,
It says it replaces an attack action, but then it says
Yeah, but
just
part of the tavern brawler is what that does. Usually you have to replace an
Mhm.
attack action to grapple, but when you
Exactly.
have the tavern brawler feat, after you
Oh.
land an attack, unarmed attack or improvised weapon attack, you can use your bonus action instead to try to grapple. So it basically reflects that you're like able to combine a punch,
an
with
attack and
immediately
yeah. Okay, I
Yeah.
was just confused.
which
Feats.
which by the way leads us to Reba's turn. For as Senka is now grappled by Delphine and Rebus is up.
But I kind of want to help grapple her. Like that was the plan anyway. So I will go up to Dauphine and essentially take Senka, not from her, like obviously Dauphine is still holding her, but like maybe we can move her towards the wall so she's facing the wall, so and I'll try to like get her snakes under control in a bun. Not forcefully, like not aggressively. Rebus is so like for a barbarian, honestly, so very much not aggressive, but like just
But-
efficiently holding her down. and like
But you would-
seeing if she's going to reconsider or try to like escape it again, and then if she does, then I guess we are fighting for real.
So, to understand correctly, you would like try to help Delphine in the grapple and move Senka to the wall, so you have a better restrained and out of combat. Try to restrain the snakes as well.
Yes.
Okay, since she is already grappled, I'm going to say that you can grapple her, but I still want you to make an athletics check, please, to see how well this all goes. How
Right.
smoothly this all goes.
Sure. It's something. Athletics? Oh, I'm good at athletics. Thank God. 16.
16. So you can.
It was it was an average roll, but you know, I'm good at this. So
Exactly. You grapple Senka, who is already grappled by Delphine. You like kind of approach her from the other side, and you basically move her over to the wall of the straw roof building. And while you do that, you also, with your hand that you can have free, because you don't have to fully grapple her, because Delphine is already doing that, you carefully kind of guide the snakes into a bunch, and all these little snakes try to yap at your metal arm, and you can hear like the ding, 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 ding of little...
you know what? I have advantage against being poisoned because
Perfect. They,
you know.
They are these
So
tiny
like they can
snakes
try.
where- like, ding, 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 as you like gently brush them aside, like it's the weirdest kind of holding someone's hair back that you've ever done, and you move, you move her.
The only type I've ever done, honestly.
You move her to the wall. I'm going to reposition all of you a little bit to reflect this, because at the wall of this straw building, there's also this water trough for. With water for horses. So you now have her kind of pinned over the water trough, and she's looking down into this basin of water where you have her pressed up against the wall. Anything
okay
else
with
you would
this
like to do in your
situation.
turn?
I'd say to Delphine, careful with the reflection. And that's it, because I don't want to fight you. Because I don't want to have to kill you, and I could. So.
Makes total sense. And that ends your turn?
Yeah.
Perfect. That brings us to Tantuul, who sees this happening. This fact that Senka is grappled by two people, pushed up against the wall. Tantuul, like, also has still Rain draped over him. Like, she still has, like, her arms over him. And he feels kind of awkward in this situation, and he just gently gestures to like have those hands removed as
Easy, just like, okay.
he just moves over to the back of Senka and puts the blade of his scimitar to the back of her neck, just rests the blade there, and says, "Call your goons off." And that's, I'm actually going to quickly roll something for him. That's good. And that ends his turn, which brings us to you, Rain.
I will. Bugbear Grunt 2 is the wand, and Bugbear Grunt 1 is the crossbow, right?
Yeah,
Or is the
and I
other way
would
around?
say that while you're still on ground level, Bugbear Grunt 1 is not, you don't have a line of sight to him because he's like on the roof directly above you, but Grunt 2, you have a line of sight to.
Okay. But I recognize that Bugbear Grunt 1 Alpha has sight on everyone else down there.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
Okay, so bonus action Misty Step
cool.
behind him.
Whew, okay.
Correct. Surprise.
And it's probably not going to work, but it would be so cool if it did. I still have an action left.
Yeah.
I want to try to shove the grunt off the roof.
That's a contested athletics check as well, shoving, I think.
I mean, it's not like he was expecting you, though.
I can make a special melee attack to shove a creature, knock it prone. So I'm attacking, but it has to.
It still has to hit to like
Yeah.
shove him. So instead of
Okay.
dealing damage, then you can decide to shove or knock prone.
Yeah. This is not going to be good because I'm not proficient in this.
Instead of making an attack roll, you make a strength athletics check contested by the target's strength, athletics, or dexterity acrobatics.
Okay, so I guess I'm making an athletics. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? If it works, that's really freaking cool.
It would be.
If
It
not,
would be.
well, you know.
It's a 13.
Plus.
No, that's the total.
What did he roll? Huh?
A single digit.
Something
Yes!
single. Oh, a 5.
5!
For a total of 7, and I would assume, especially because of this moment of surprise, that you like go poof and appear behind him, you shove the bugbear, and he
Fall
starts
damage?
falling. He starts falling.
Wilhelm scream.
It's the bugbear version of the Wilhelm scream. And he starts falling. This 15 feet he's falling from. So he has to make a dexterity saving throw.
It's not that bad. Come on.
Pretty good, by the way. Oh, that was.
It's like 3 times my height. Come on.
That is, and you hear him, he falls off, but he seems to be this is an experienced bugbear. This hasn't been the first time he's trying to shoot someone from a rooftop, and probably not the first time he fell from a rooftop. And you see him fall, but he's able to catch himself mostly, but still you hear him there's some impact from the fall, and he's currently prone on the ground as you shoved him off there.
And for the rest of my movement, I will also go prone because I see the other bugbear with the wand.
Yeah.
So I just kind of make myself small, and I
Perfect.
extend my hand like a finger gun out. Actually,
Perfect. Great. That actually leads us to that bugbear on the other rooftop, which you're now giving finger guns at. And
This battle is wonderful. I love it.
he points the wand at you and fires, but since you are prone, he has to do so at disadvantage. Let's go.
It's still
Wait.
too good.
No. I want to roll my cat die for that.
Oh no.
Come on.
That's fine.
I rolled an 8 and a 9. That for the 8 is a grand total of 13. Does a 13 hit?
That's my AC.
That
Yeah,
still
yeah.
hits.
Oh, heck.
It's okay.
For 1 fire damage from the wand again, firing at you,
Damage is damage. I'm still hurt.
which ends. You know what? 2 people can play at this game. This bugbear goes over here and also goes prone on his side, on his rooftop.
Put the second
And
finger together.
But instead of holding up a finger gun, he holds the wand at you, pointed at you. And that ends his turn. Bugbear number 1, who was just thrown off the roof, is prone, has to spend half his movement at getting back up. And he fires another crossbow bolt at Rebus.
Try me, bitch.
You're tiring all his dice.
Natural one. So also that crossbow bolt also goes thump, goes wide.
Ha!
And he spent some movement of his.
It ricochets from my armor back into him. No, it's fine.
And
Too close.
He's gonna move himself up here, which also ends his turn and gets us back to the top of round 3. There's so much that changed in this thing around here. Impressive. I love it. Senka, top of round 3, who is grappled by 2 people, has a sword at the back of her neck, and is being held over a water trough against a wall.
Here's one of her goons go.
Yeah, exactly. She is behind you. She is a thought. And she stands there, and she would love to have a little bit more expression with her snakes, but those are being wrangled by Rebus. And you just hear her suddenly shout something in Goblin that none of you understand.
Well, Tantuul does, so.
And those of you who can see Tantuul, see him smirk as you see that the bugbear with the crossbow heard what was being shouted, and he like lowers his crossbow and just starts running out of the alley. And Rain, you on your rooftop, still with your finger guns while you're being prone, you also hear it echoing up to the rooftops, and the other bugbear heard what was being shouted and like still semi-ducked runs away on the rooftops out of the alley. And Tantuul then quickly says, she surrenders in common. And that ends our combat. And before we delve into the aftermath, let's take another quick 5-minute break quickly to refill drinks and get the sweat off our brow. And then we're going to the final part of today's session to see how we wrap this up. So head in with us. Thanks everyone in chat, by the way. There's some great conversations in chat during the fight. Love the energy.
No, and I missed them. Oh, sadness.
Thanks for joining in on the chat. Fantastic. We're going to be back in 5 minutes for the final part of this. Sit in, hang in there, get yourself a drink. We'll be right back. See you in 5.
Excellent.
Oh,
And hydrate check.
And a quick hydrate check, indeed. Throw in some water in there.
Water.
Refresh GM.
Marcus, why did you have to make it so weird?
Story of my life. But final part of the game, we are
We're fine. Okay.
We have just witnessed our adventurers dealing with an attempted, it's not even an ambush, but a fight at the hands of Senka the Medusa. And you now currently, after she called off her goons for the fight, Rebus and Delphine still have Senka held up against a wall over a water trough, and Tantuul has his scimitar on the back of her neck, while Rain is up on the rooftop doing finger guns.
Well, if the two bugbears have indeed moved off, I will scooch to the end of the rooftop with my legs dangling over. So I see them very clearly, but just in case I am keeping an eye out in the rooftop or any other things, but most of my attention is down there.
Perfect. Talking about attention down there, Rebus and Delphine, you are the ones who really have a good grip on Senka. What would you like to do in this situation?
Well, Rebus will go into their, diplomatic speech of, please, oh God, words again. Refrain from any further violence. It's really not necessary, but we would like, to not go into any more trouble for all of our sakes. And they're going to lightly let go so as she's not like in an uncomfortable position, but just like she has a scimitar to her neck, so I think she will be fine. So I'll lightly let go and just kind of prop her so we can talk.
And how about you, Delphine? What are you gonna do with your hold?
Slowly letting go of her, and saying in the process, we have our eyes on you, so no tricks here.
And Tantuul is still holding his sword against her, and his eyes are just darting between Rebus and Delphine. Senka says, no worries. I have to admit, I did not expect you to come with this efficient backup, Tantuul. You've made your point. They can let me go. Please, she says in a little bit of a mocking voice.
Only if you understand that we're not sharing.
I understand. And she says all of this while her face is still facing down at the water trough. And
I'm slowly letting go of her.
right.
Do I have an idea of how much Tantuul gave her? I mean, it was in a pouch,
Yeah,
so...
yeah. Could be. Like, you don't know what kind of coins were in there. You don't know how much. You really have no clue.
Hmm.
So, Delphine, you let your grip loose, and you see Senka straightens up a bit. Rebus, did you also loosen your grip, or would...
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she kind of carefully postures up, still feeling the cold steel of the sword against her back, but Tantuul lowers his sword, and Senka turns around, hands raised, and also the snakes all on the top of her head, all of them like straight upwards. You go and have fun chasing a story we wanted to chase together, Tantuul. And she just carefully steps by, like just past the edge of the sword that Tantuul still is pointing a little bit in front of him. Just carefully passing by the edge so that it just kind of goes by her leather armor while she's keeping eye contact with Tantuul. And then she steps away, backwards away from the group. And once she has some distance, she lowers her hands and turns around and marches out of the alley.
Without the sack of coins?
With the sack of coins, she like picks that up and
Okay.
wanders off.
Before she leaves, like as she's moving past, Rebus will just say, "We truly meant no trouble. Miss Senka, you seemed like a very intelligent and driven individual, and I will not judge. I'm in no position to judge whatever choices you may make, but hopefully we won't see each other again. At least not in not aggressive, what's the word?
Without hostility?
Yeah, not in hostile circumstances.
Well, she's like, has a bit of a distance between you. She hears her say that. She smirks and says, sometimes good intentions are not enough. And I won't make any promises. And then she walks out of the alley. And
At least she's honest.
She disappears around a corner. Tantuul sighs deeply, sheaths his sword again, and he says, I am so sorry for this. My apologies. And then he turns to Rain, he looks around for Rain, he sees her sitting on top
My
of
legs
the
are
roof.
dangling as if like I'm on a playground.
And he's like, but to be fair, was that really necessary? He shouts up at Rain.
I'm going to slide down. And just before I hit the ground, you notice that my movement is slowed. My toes hit the ground first, and then my heel just very slowly plants down. Sometimes.
See here. Rebus was just gonna make a comment of, see here, necessary is not exactly the measure of that we're going by.
If those were her true intentions in the end, what is the point in simply dancing around the issue? Best get to the truthfulness underneath all the layers.
Tantuul like massages his forehead. Look, I had a feeling it would go this way, but I had hopes that it wouldn't. I I don't want to fight her. But she gets me into situations where it ends up that I do that. And I have to say, kudos to all of you for truly resolving this without getting anyone killed.
So,
Well, we're still in business, aren't we? So
yes, and we
So
must be
that was
good
the
at what
deal.
we do.
And I will inform Lara about your exceptional performance here. I mean, we hardly entered this alley and you had already spotted the snipers on the rooftops, those wicked bugbears keeping an eye on us before the Mistress of Snakes steps out of her lair. I feel a story brewing in my mind.
But as her chapter ended, because it would be most inconvenient if she were to come slinking back while we are in the throes of our own other little adventure.
Wouldn't that be dramatic?
There's enough drama to be had, and I, for one, don't always enjoy sharing the spotlight. I enjoy being the most dramatic one here.
Yeah, but can we go on during, try to be dramatic while we're on our way?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think this intermezzo has distracted us long enough from our story. We shall leave behind the dusted roads of Rhuukan Draal and make our way towards our destination.
Without Dyson, unfortunately.
He will find us.
I mean, since you've informed most of the town anyway, I suppose him asking our general direction would be enough for him to find us eventually.
Hold on a moment there, Rain. What do you mean with informed most of the town?
I mean, she seemed to be quite informed about your goings.
Senka and I worked for a while on a way to find a map to where the chains of Mortal are. We started that when we were still more amicable to each other. It's not like I go around Rhuukan Draal and tell everyone, hey, I'm looking to find a way to a legendary item.
Do I know that's absolutely not true because he loves storytelling and building up all this drama?
Give me an insight check with advantage.
Oh, like-
This is like, and it's also a super low DC.
I have shocked Pikachu face on right now.
Yes, this is.
What is my insight +2? 19 total.
Yeah, and this was a super low DC. He is totally like, no, from what you've seen so far from Tantuul, going around the city telling people of his grand planned adventure is totally his MO, and he's trying to bullshit you.
I will make a little minor illusion of a single snake, and it's going to go up on my head and just sort of like snap in front of his nose. I'm like, sometimes discretion.
Discretion. Yes, discretion. But just to be clear, before you get any further wrong impressions about the relationship between me and Senka, or the one that was once there, I did not have her. I do not want her involved in this. I wanted this to be done today, but apparently she thinks she can still keep herself in my dealings.
She thought she had enough power to simply have things go the way she wanted, regardless of your feelings about it.
Power is a complicated thing, isn't it? But that is a topic to discuss while we walk. Follow me now. We're almost at the edges of the town, and then we have a bit of a march across the plains towards the Seawall Mountains ahead of us. I hope all of you have good shoe work on. All of you look decent shoe works, good boots, and he quickly looks at Rain's boot. Those look exquisite.
They are new.
Hardly dusty and stained.
I
Great
click my
pattern.
heels to put like any leftover dust off of them. But what the people would see, like previously, Rain had these sort of like gladiator type sandals on going up her calf. This time there's much more leather straps. So even though it's not necessarily like a completely closed leather top. It's much more intricately woven, and like there's a lot of fine stitching, especially at the back of the heel, and it also goes up to her knee.
Nice.
So that was your shopping.
These boots are made for walking. A little bit more sometimes too.
Okay. All right. Quickly had to take a note there. You Tantuul acknowledges that remark and then leads the group out of the alley and further away from the city. Still behind you in the distance is this large 10-story tall red tower in the center of Rhuukan Draal, but ahead of you in the distance, through the dust of the city, is the seawall mountains that you are heading for. New stories lie ahead of you, and the mysteries of the Chains of Mortal are not any closer to be revealed. However, you have found yourself to be players in the tales of other people in the nation of Darguun. And who knows if you see some of these actors again on this stage or another one. Is it maybe the call of the plane of Thelanis that thirsts for stories and drama? Or is it just because everywhere you go, you make waves and leave your mark? Well, one more question for us to answer, but not today. As we end today's session, and look forward to next week's session. All right.
Cool.
Excellent.
Thank you for today's session. This was excellent. We had some.
This was so good.
We had some.
Thank you for DMing
Yeah,
so brilliantly.
Yeah, thank you for playing so brilliantly. There was great back and forth, good banter. You had a bit of a fight that you dealt with in a fun way, and we're gonna see next week how you continue to get to the actual objective of the mission.
I see a general theme here. Like, there's always a lot of mountains and a lot of climbing.
I think one of your faces, Caro, when Tantuul, the guide, was saying, "I hope you're cooked for mountains," I was like, was that the face of Delphine not having bought extra Featherfall tokens while we were in Sharn, or
I haven't
yes?
logged extra Featherfall tokens. I can't always
Remember
buy
that you
them.
have it though.
No, I have one.
With the one which
Okay,
must
good.
not be used, apparently.
Who knows? You never know. Maybe you're not falling off of anything this time.
Of course we are.
Surprise!
Oh, different when we
You
fall
know,
off
that was the
something.
moment where I was like, oh yeah, then exact the time where I don't buy this shit.
Alrighty. Well, before we wrap up for today, do we have any kind of news we would like to share? Anything that's going on? I think there is something that you can see of some of us be part of at the end of this week, actually, this Friday. Ida, would you like to tell us where we words numbers
Words.
words where can people see some of us at the end of this week, this Friday?
This Friday, I'm going to hell. For all the sins I've committed, I am going to be in hell. We are, Caro, Marcus, and myself are going to be very happy guests at Mana Pot Studios for their EU Happy Hour. And we're going to do a D&D one-shot called Pun in the Sun. And this is why I say it is my hell, because I am the person who emphatically face palms, cringes, and shrivels up inside when there's puns. And in order to...
How have you survived on Horde of Tail this long?
She hasn't, she's dead inside.
It's 80% puns.
In order to acclimatize my time to this new inferno I'll be joining, I will be playing a centaur druid purely for all the pun potential.
And Yep, that will be coming Friday on Manapod Studios, indeed, starting at
I think 7
7:30
p.m. British summertime, BST.
Exactly. So, Pun in the Sun on Manapod. I linked the Twitter of Manapod Studios. Keep an eye on that where you can find more information. And also check out Manapod Studios for the other streams they do, because there's a lot of great streams on there. Great GMs, great players in many different time zones. So check them out as well. With that being said, do we have any other announcements?
And little thank you to big thank you to Hope for TTRPGs and D8 for our little raids. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. Give you shout outs in a bit.
Indeed.
And slowly but surely, the rest of the VODs from last month's Women in Gaming are going up, along with all their shorts. I had a bit of a backlog, but they're coming in. The next one I found really funny, very heartwarming, and down with twinks, as Angela would say.
And where actually can people find those VODs? Where do we upload our VODs?
I don't know, Kara, where do we upload those?
I hear we are uploading those on YouTube.
What's the address people can find them at?
youtube.com/Horde of Tales. I hate you guys. I
Yes.
hate you so much.
I had Dabby company, yay!
Yes! Woo! Yeah, indeed.
We have a pretty URL. We need to share it more often.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
don't forget to like and subscribe, thumbs up, and every interaction helps. Oh, I
Feed
hate
the
myself.
algorithm.
Immediate regret.
Also, if you enjoyed being here today and we saw a lot of great banter in chat, thank you very much for coming in here. If you want to keep track of what we're doing, follow us on our socials as well. You can find us on Twitter. We have the Twitter down below the video. You can also join our Discord, where there's always fun stuff to be shared and laughed about, and where we also share any kind of other updates that we have on the channel. And as Kara mentioned, on our YouTube, you can find all the VODs, not just of this campaign of the Convergence Manifesto, but all the other games we do, because we also do one-shots and had just come off of a month of Women in Gaming with lots of great stuff. So that's also all there.
Amazing.
And if you really love our stuff and think like, hey, how can I help growing the channel and help the people there, we're having a tipping pit. You find this under our Twitch, which basically just says tip, and the funds from there are shared with the crew and to finance further projects.
All right. I think we had a lot of our channel updates here, and I think Serial also has something to share. Serial, what's up?
I have an announcement. Because, might as well give it a try. Long shot, but if anybody finds themselves able to come to Leipzig on the 30th or 31st of July, that's the last weekend of this month, I will be tabling at yet another event in Leipzig called Leipzig Art Days, which is at the Moritzbastei. And hey, entrance is free because it's literally an outdoor-indoor venue, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, lots of amazing artists actually from all over Germany. I just happened to be there because I was lucky, but I'm really excited to see everyone who's going to be attending. So yeah, hey, if you happen to be able to come over, come and say hi. I'd appreciate it.
Indeed, great. Yeah, if I wouldn't live at the opposite end of Europe, I would drop by. But if you're around
that'd be fun.
If you're around Leipzig, check it out. I also, just to make sure, I shared your Twitter socials in the chat as well, where you can also keep track of what Sarah is going to do at the Leipzig Art Days there, and of any of their other great art that is also featured on this channel. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And you also shared the link to the site of the Leipzig Art Days themselves. Perfect. Right. I think that is everything for today then. How about we, instead of fighting Medusas and rooftop bugbears in an alley, we wind down for today, get a little bit out of the heat as far as possible. And once again, thank everyone for joining us today. We'll be back next week on this channel, same time, same place, to continue the adventure, and gonna wind down for now. So thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Enjoy the rest of your day,
Thank
and
you.
see you soon.
Survive the rest of the heat. Stay safe. Hydrate. Bye.
Hydrate. Bye-bye.